Tatskalau at Oi Kaloma. Aloha. Welcome to everyone who is joining us this evening for a reading of our Poetry in the Census Fellows for the fall term or the spring term of 2023. My name is Beth Piatote. I'm the director of the Arts Research Center at UC Berkeley. And it is such a joy and a pleasure to be able to gather with these amazing writers tonight and with our audience to share words and poetry, and especially poetry that engages our Indigenous languages and engages ways of working through language. I want to say a little bit about this program, the Poetry in the Census program. At Berkeley, we have been very fortunate to be generously funded in this program by the Engaging the Census Foundation. And we offer our deepest gratitude to Mona Abadir, the CEO of the Engaging the Census Foundation, and to the foundation for supporting 4 years now of this poetry program. And this program has a unique structure. At Berkeley, in the past 3 years, it has brought in a cohort of poets who come from faculty, graduate students, undergraduate students, and from the community to create a writing community. And this year, we actually extended our program under the theme of reclamation, and we created a partnership with 3 other entities. So right now, we have a partnership with luk'upsíimey, which is a community-based Nez Perce language and art group. And we also have poets coming from the University of Hawaiʻi. And we have Craig Santos Perez as our coordinator of our group from Hawaii. In the fall, we'll be bringing in a group from Arizona State University with Natalie Diaz participating in our group. And then in February of 2024, we will have a gala reading and bring everybody together to read poems. So during the time that we've had this fellowship, we have supported 36 fellows. We've had 32 visiting writers, and we've had 64 flash poetry readings that take place over the month of April. So I encourage you to look at some of these readings. They're all available online at our ARC website. So I just wanted everyone to know a little bit about this amazing poetry program that we're able to sponsor here at UC Berkeley with the generous sponsorship of the Engaging the Census Foundation. And with that, I am actually done with my part of the program. I'm going to get off the stage and welcome Craig Santos Perez, our faculty member and coordinator from University of Hawaiʻi.
Afade Toda Samzu. Thank you so much, Beth, for your introduction. Thank you to the Arts Research Center, to the Engaging the Census Foundation, and of course to Beth and Lori and the entire team that has supported our fellowship. Thank you to all the amazing poets that I've had the honor to work with this semester. I'm really looking forward to hearing all your voices. And thank you, of course, to all of you joining us on the live stream. You are in for quite a show today. Our first reader is Carol Ann Carl, a young storyteller from the island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia, who uses poetry as a teaching tool to carry on the canoe culture of her ancestors, preserving the heritage of the past and protecting the promise of the future. Please welcome Carol Ann.
Sizus Maasi Craig, Iyang Kasalelia and Aloha Mai Kako. Again, my name is Carol Ann, and home for me is the beautiful island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia. Also, the Kingdom of Hawaii, where I have spent the majority of my life traveling back and forth as canoe culture people do between here and my homeland. The poem I shared today was written for the Pitt Rivers Museum at Oxford University, and it's written from the perspective of one of the objects in the museum, which is an unfinished shell shank. So it's a piece of shell from a pearl shell. In my language, the creature is called pai. And the shell was going to be turned into a fish hook, but it was left unfinished and then buried with the last king of the great kingdom of Nanmadol. The poem for me is a reclamation of both ancestral history, because a lot of people don't remember the names of the old kings, but also personally, it's a reclamation of familial history, because these kings are my clansmen. So I'm going to share my screen and share imagery along with this poem. Unfinished. Mass, a little over 2,000 years ago, I once spawned many pearls in the waters of what are now the ruins of Nanmadol. From my shell of obsidian, I watched as two brothers, long before the overthrow, constructed great walls of basalt, carving and levitating tons of stone. The brothers were master stonemasons, harnessing the mystical powers of buoyancy, water, and salinization. These ocean travelers built a megalithic floating civilization. Over the coconut wireless, a centuries-old technology, arrived rumors of a man named Jesus walking on the Sea of Galilee, whilst these men built an empire on water atop the Sea of Matalanim. Olosopa, member of the great clan Tupulap, became ruler once construction ceased. I and many others were harvested for his coronation, our pearls retrofitted into sacred adornments amidst whispered incantations. Pintada, Marguerite, Tifera, my shell of high value, left saved and unfinished, buried with the first king of Ban Katara. In matrilineal success, time moved forward as we laid at rest. History remembers the inheritor Monmei as the first Sautalor, his name meaning first of his reign. Then came Inenamwe, highly respected and obeyed, followed by Sakonamwe, whose legacy is remembered as the tyrannizing age. He was succeeded by Saretin Sap, a ruler of great magical powers, who would send his Lori friends to gather intelligence and make the giants cower. Raipuanlang was his scion, his rule filled with stories of riches and success. Raipuanlokon, next in line, was the Sautalor who ate of human flesh. The last of the line was Saudamoy, he who fled from the rebellion that overthrew his dynasty, led by Iso Kalakal. Saudamoy, the shapeshifter who some say ran, some say flew, ultimately fleeing as a fish painted cerulean and azure. He now hides not too far from the ruined kingdom of basalts in Kamo Pungpung, the hidden waterfall. Now here I am in this archaeological hall as I sit entrapped, wondering where home is beyond these walls. I wonder if, had I been a finished fishhook, what role I could have played in it all. Could I have been used to catch the runaway king? But here I stay, a long way from home, a spectacle an unfinished, speculated thing. Kalangan, and I will pass it back to Craig.
Yes, thank you, Caroline, for getting us started on such a powerful note. I hope all of you in the live stream are making some noise wherever you're tuning in from. That was amazing. We had, throughout this semester, we've had 12 fellows and get to hear from 11 of them today. So we are just getting this party started. All right, so next up, we have Phillip Cash Cash, an Indigenous scholar, artist, writer, and younger speaker of Nez Perce, a severely endangered language. He is also a co-founder, along with Beth, of luk'upsíimey, the North Star Collective, a Nez Perce literary and language advocacy group. Please welcome to the stage, Phil.
Yes, thank you. Tots halach pa oikalo inim lalatiwa ma kakustita laamna hitamenawat ka wa inim wanikt nimi putimtki pitam yanan max kakustita soya putimtki wanikt he was Phillip Cash Cash. Inwa luk'upsíimey. I am luk'upsíimey. This evening, I'm going to read two poems for all of you. The first poem is untitled, or How to Write Poetry in the Ancient Tongue of Language. Split the tongue, devour the heart, never more. Fast upon the edges of the world, greet the unearthed, lost and wandering mysteries in a dream. Shake their hand, each one by one, until perceptibly you hear the echoed spirit words shaking the skull. It was you all along. We had been searching. 5 times come to life now. The arrows are true now. Let the mountains sing your name. All shall cross your path. Seize in your mouth our breath, the creation, the unshadowed world. The next poem is Wanik Nut Hatawit Pamatimanin, untitled love poem. Kamina kala inakiyaikam kumip katohimakitspa. I may wander from myself into something much greater. Ka wapalkits walem ka watas. Na hipipip in inim timnapa, and release the rivers and earth shaking in my heart. When kapkiksa timich haika lao at tailakaspa inim. Unfurl bits of sky shimmering at my throat. Naksnich kochkaka witayu and become one with you. Hahatiala satra katiapon. luk'upsíimey wanikt, isa pailaksa inim wakiswit. Winds roaring and the whistling echo of dead timber blown into my soul, your name. Thank you. Turn it back over to Craig.
Thank you, Phil. So powerful. All right, our next poet is Cristina S. Méndez, a Chicana writer, poet, and educator born and raised in the Bay Area. Let's make hella noise for Cristina.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you all for being here. It's so exciting to be among this group of amazing people and poets. So today I'll share a poem that's tentatively titled, I Heard a Whisper Last Summer. That comes from my work and a collaborative project with Dr. Alex Mejia. We both have the privilege of working with Maya Mom language activists. And so this poem and our work together is about reflecting on what it means to do that, what it means to be in relation to the Maya Mom community. So I'll begin. 1. Bright, sun-kissed, orange-tinged yellow walls felt like a hug, but clashed with cold tile that didn't. That felt like it belonged to another time and place. I mean to ask, how do I know what my body felt being so far from home? 2. A short hallway, a T intersection separated my room from Terry's. We'd shared a room earlier in the trip. The two of us, 2 beds, too many suitcases, taking up an oddly shaped quadrilateral that desperately wanted to be a rectangle. This was better, this little T intersection, even if I had to wear Crocs with socks inside the hotel, even though I hate Crocs. I meant to remember how I moved through the space, but the wall said, no te preocupes, todo se queda aquí. 3. Tara was sitting on her bed, facing towards a rectangle room. She invited me in. The beds had the cobijas de sala tapulga, giving a hint of home. Sitting on her bed together, I traced my hand along the cobija, talking while she munched on fiesta snacks, orange Doritos and pretzels and a little something else, a mix of nostalgia and newness. I'd remember the scene as the opening one, laughing while needing another conversation. 4. I told her I needed perspective, too enclosed by our voices, tired of staring at the wall or through it, asking, who am I to this place? The yellow walls could hold these tensions. They're new, but not naive. They'd heard the town talk before being built. Los de Puebla, los de Checoche, los de everywhere else. They heard, especially, the soccer games down the slope, where all would gather in the intertown liga, ripe for tension and conflict. The walls took it well, felt like home to them, too. Meanwhile, I tried to only claim the good as the familiar. 5. I stayed poised, stayed with Terry, stayed and tried to be still. Needed a thought partner to point me a way out, a way up. The walls offered to listen, to hold this bubble of whispers and sadness. I just couldn't hear them. 6. Excited for Alex to arrive, a member and not a member, a little group, a different perspective on this noodle of gossip and tension we were writhing in and hoping to escape from. I told Alex, trusting, hoping, you get it, right? Being from an adjacent space, a slanted recognition. Yes, Alex knew this noodle of anxious and unsure. He leaned against the wall for a while, reminded me I could do this differently, reminded me I already was, and to not put it all on one thing. Talked about a circularity, a kind of way we move together with others. I heard him, but also something else. It answered me in 7. Remember, you have to go up, go towards the sun, go past the dogs, and keep going. You have to get there, the town, not this tucked away little corner. Handprints left by the albañiles still fresh, residue from the overnightness still there. I think I heard it at the top of Tliku. Maybe it warned me. I remember. Something about the whisper kept me walking along. Some thinking never quite settled, but kept. Sliding, skidding up and around mud and moss. Quiet dis-ease echoing through the trees, gravel, windows. It told me to listen, but didn't tell me to what. 8. I know. There's something special between the inevitable and the hopeful. Between you, me, them, it all. Knowing and trusting things come together and they'll fall apart, kind of miraculously. Not without ruptures, shifts in the foundation, but accepting the reality and miraculousness of not knowing, but feeling, remembering the good is still giving. And I'll turn it back to Craig.
Thank you, Cristina, for that miraculous reading of your poem. Our next poet is Noʻu Revilla, an Oiwi poet, educator, and author of Ask the Brindled, which won the 2021 National Poetry Series and was published by Milkweed Editions in 2022. So all of you out there, please hop online and order this book immediately. In the meantime, we're going to welcome Noʻu to the stage.
Mahalo, Craig. And mahalo to everyone joining us right now to share story. And I am so proud to be part of this cohort. Can everyone hear me? Okay, okay. So I'm going to dedicate the poem that I share with you to all the women I've seen come back to life again and again and again. Can everyone see this split screen? Okay. Keep asking aunties. Who resurrects the dead in Kahului? According to aunties from the laundromat who knew your grandma hard, the dead resurrect themselves in mirrors. So you return to Dream City and bury mirrors everywhere on Pole High Street. Mirrors in the giant Chico tree, mirror in the hole in the front door, in the woven handle of grandma's broom, on every chicken coop your father painted as a boy. Happy faces plus a prayer, please, no, raid tonight. When a ghost falls in love with its own image, how long before it cuts itself? Let your father's mother gamble. Once upon a time, she put you in the outdoor sink to hide you from police, and you crushed a small mirror in your hand. First, you sprinkled the powder around you, then snuck out to dust the track of her sliding glass door. You dusted the boiled peanuts left unshelled on the card tables. You dusted the still lit cigars. How many people lie about the holes in grandma's house? Protect your tally. Dust that too. The ghosts of Dream City will use this number against you, like you have this many days, wet girl, to look for your living, this many days to walk your curse through town. Do you remember the dead fish on Sundays? How its scales were shaved from the body in strong, clear strokes. Their scales like tiny mirrors made a disco of grandma's patio. How you danced inside the bait bucket. a terrible little haunting. The dead aunties knew your grandma, her chicken coop face, her gamble. She put you in a mirror, yeah? Snuck God out with your ghost. You gonna curse like her? Grandma's little haunting. Grandma? Grandma? The dead face out. Grandma put you in a mirror like her grandma. Mahalo nui loa.
Mahalo No'u for that haunting reading, and amazing to see the visuals as well. Oh, got chicken skin. Okay, give me a moment. Especially because our next poet sent me a one-sentence bio that actually reads like a poem. So I'm gonna read it to you. Kellen Trenal, pronounced like Chanel, is Black and Nimipu through and through. Let's welcome Kellen to the stage, please.
Katsiayo, Inwinikisa Kellen Trenal, Inwas Nimipukata Tamakta Token. Hello, everyone. My name is Kellen Trenal. I'm both of the Nez Perce people as well as Black. Inwas Natitalwit, Inwas Miyats Hanyawat Ein, Watisnim Hassan. I am a human being. I am a child of creation. I am the breath of the land. And his sepa eitzta inum tamina imam at papine. It makes my heart so happy that you all came here today. Ka inat sikta ak ani kinich. I am speaking to you from the present day understandings of Juneau, Alaska, which is the original territories of the Tlingit, the Haida, and the Tsimshian people. So thank you to all of the forebearers of the lands that we walk on today. I will be sharing an image here, and it is following the theme of my very intro. I am Black and Nimipu through and through. These poems that I'm creating are working to accompany a series of artwork that I am creating, which fuses together Walim Wapalikin, old style dressing up with present day drip. Hey, the call, the sway. Hey, loose with it. Hey, hey, fuck it up then. Hey, Black like that. Hey, I know that's right. Hey, she out here gagging the girls. Hey, ain't none of y'all seeing me. Badder and Bigfoot, I go unseen. Hey, got more game than the Forest Service. Hey, smoother than river rocks. Hey, I'm all. Hey, aunties beware, uncles in town. Hey, shoot, uncles beware, nephews in town. Hey, hitting giveaways for fresh snagging blankets. Hey, just rugged. True though. Hey, Katsiaya.
Got more game than the Forest Service. Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Kellen. That's amazing. Wow. All right. Our next poet is Tierra Sydnor, raised in Indiana, Tierra is an undergraduate at the University of Hawaiʻi, Mānoa, whose creative work focuses on the intersectionality of faith, race, and mortality. Please welcome Tierra to the stage.
Hello. Today I will be reading my poem called Bitter Lemons. Bitter lemons. My father always called death a deep slumber. He's a preacher, my morality of sorts. My mother says the Lord didn't keep me to leave me. She grew up Adventist, my purpose of sorts. My siblings, they're clueless. They grew up with their prayers being their grandmothers, my denial of sorts. I wish life were a little more sour. A puckering of the lips, a slight shake of the head, an aching of the jaw, a clearing of the throat, a widening of the eyes. I wish life were a little more sour. Despite what they believe, I find comfort in all hospital things. I grew up with paper on my bed as a fitted sheet, my heart monitor as a lullaby, morning meds as my candy, the blood pressure cuff as my goodnight hug, and the alcohol wipes as my goodnight kiss. I'm not bitter, nor have I ever been. My denial. It's just upsetting that my lemons taste bitter. I rather them be sour. I don't do sugar. I don't do sweetener. It complicates things. People complicate things. Adding ingredients to your lemons, it just complicates things. I just want the lemon, and I don't want to be bitter, my purpose. I want to bite into my lemon and get the urge to pucker my lips, squish my face and have my jaw ache, have my eyes widen. Tell me, when your eyes widen, what do you realize? What do you see? What does God reveal to you when your eyes get open, my morality? I'm tired of this bitter lemon that makes me gag. I'm pretty sure it's not even bitter. I'm just rancid. It's just rancid. I'm rancid. I'm bitter, but I'm not bitter, truly. It's just I so desperately want to be sour, my denial. Why is life so cruel? For all to suffer life as sour, but for me to have the burden of being bitter, my purpose. I said this in a prayer once. It seems to keep me praying often. It's supposed to be a conversation, but it feels as though he keeps me bitter, so I stay talking, my denial. I'm not mad at God, nor do I blame him for my bitter lemons. It's just a little hurtful that out of all the lemons he gave, he knew mine was bitter, and he gave it to me anyway. Now, I'm not mad because he's always been okay with me, no matter how bitter I have tasted my purpose. But you see, things get a little lonely when I'm being not so righteous, therefore righteous beings can no longer be with me, my morality. I wish life were a little more sour, a puckering of the lips, a slight shake of the head, an aching of the jaw, a clearing of the throat, a widening of the eyes. Unfortunately, I think I will forever taste bitter, my purpose. But maybe with a little faith, the mustard seed kind, I can be sour. I don't even need to move mountains. I just want to be sour, my denial. This need to be sour, it's this substance, this thing I hope for that evidently I can never see, feel, live, nor touch, my morality. I know bitter lemons have certain purpose, my purpose, a certain use. But how can I expect for anyone to want my bitter lemons when I don't even want them myself? I tried to love my bitter, but all the recipes, they call to take bitter out of me. They call for salt. It's supposed to remove all bitterness. But when I tell you the societal burns of a salt wound erode my skin, make my nectar bubble, soften my rind, it preserves me as salt does, but what fruit ever joined this life and beg to be salty? Salty and bitter are not the same. Only those who are sour, they see it that way, my purpose. I just so badly, yearningly, cravingly wish life were a little more sour, my denial. A puckering of the lips, a slight shake of the head, an aching of the jaw, a clearing of the throat, a widening of the eyes. Please tell me what God lets you see, my morality, my father, my morality, my mother, my purpose, my siblings, my denial, myself, I'm bitter. I'm sorry, my morality. It's just I find it my purpose. So unsettling, my denial, to be so bitter. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tierra, for that powerful and moving poem. With that reading, that takes us to about halfway point. We got to hear from the first 6 amazing poets. So I just wanted to take a moment, if we can give those first poets another round of applause, please, wherever you're at. Make some noise. Make sure the neighbors hear you. Yes, thank you to our first group. As I said, it's a real honor to work with all of these poets. We got to meet about every 2 weeks this year so far. And we would bring poems, offer each other feedback and workshop, and we would talk about many different craft elements. And you could tell one of those is both the joys and struggles of writing multilingual poetry, writing about difficult issues like race and the body, culture and identity, and so on. And then we spent our last couple of weeks talking about revision. As Beth put it, we had a little revision party, and it was really fun to see how the poets were revising poems based on the feedback they received earlier in the semester. All right, so that's a little bit about the background of our fellowship. I'll now move on to introducing our next 5 poets. And don't worry, we'll get you out in time to watch the Warrior game for those for those of you in the Bay Area. So we're all good on timing so far. All right, our next poet is Marisa Lin, who's the daughter of Chinese immigrants, a poet, and Minnesota native. Let's give Marisa a round of applause.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Craig. It's such a pleasure to share space with you all tonight. As Craig mentioned, I grew up in Minnesota as a daughter of Chinese immigrants, and I'm proud to be from the Midwest. But it wasn't until I moved into California when I just began to learn more about my Asian American identity and also about the history of the Chinese community in this country. Several years ago, I read a book called Ghosts of Gold Mountain by Gordon Chang. And in that book, he talks about the Chinese workers who helped to build the Transcontinental Railroad. And the railroad was the largest engineering project of the time, and it was vitally important to the expansion of the American economy. But the workers themselves were exploited. Most of them were immigrants. And the Chinese workers who worked on the western part of the railroad had to work through really challenging terrain and climate, as well as just the intrinsic risk and danger of their jobs. And what really struck me as I was learning more about these workers is that there aren't any diaries or letters or other types of written documentation in the voices of these workers. So I was really intrigued by that, and I felt drawn to sort of give some voice to their experiences. So this poem, the title is called Unwritten. Our search for gold became a railroad. Its tracks, miles of feet, studding desert and mountains, white men mistake for salvation. But we know that a rock takes no prisoners. A boulder, a fist, born again and again, christened by each blast, blackened shards in our blood. How night is always teeth, tasting iron and snow, kills like silk around the neck. Our stomachs collapsing like tunnels away, our names blend into one. coolie, chink, Eastern snake begging for work. Our wages paid in accidents and what civilization leaves behind. Ashes, tools, missing sons, no proof of distress, but blisters and memory. Yet even these will fade. What do you call a history that omits its sorrow when there's nothing left but tracks? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for laying down those tracks into history and memory. So powerful. All right, our next poet is Sarah Hennessey. Sarah is a Nimipu poet, performer, and playwright who typically resides in southeastern Pennsylvania and is reading from traditional Nimipu homeland in northeastern Oregon. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just have two really brief pieces. I wanted to showcase some of the work that this specific fellowship inspired me to write. And so I have two very short poems that are the product of the prompts that we would start our meetings with. And so I think this one is actually from our very first meeting. And the prompt was, our ancestors knew that the ocean, and then we just went from there. So this is what I came up with. Our ancestors knew that the ocean would rage and swell, a frothing fervor of reclamation, cliff walls falling like the first rains of stardust. Our ancestors knew that the ocean would hold us, buoyed, salt in our ears and stars in our eyes, swathed in gratitude for its guardianship. That's my first one. And then my second one, it was a prompt about kinship terms. And so this is actually, I really love, there's a little bit of a symbiosis with Phil's piece. Anyway, here it is. They sing, call me by the right name, and the ocean puzzles. With all the truth in the depths of the ocean, it took a moment to conjure. Ocean sings out, Mother Earth, Mother Mountain. Mountains sing back, Daughter Water, Daughter Ocean. And so just a quick little shout out to Nate Eats, my mom. And again, thank you all.
Awesome. Shout out to Sarah's mom. And I love that Sarah mentioned the opening prompt. So, you know, for every meeting, we would start with about a 5-minute free write related to the theme of the ancient ocean. And that was kind of something that was an undercurrent throughout our time together in this fellowship. And it was beautiful to think about how the ocean, water kind of connected all of us across culture, time, and space. And I know there will be future iterations of writing about the ancient ocean with this fellowship program. So looking forward to that. I also want to say we would also end each of our workshops with a to-go prompt. I just wanted to do a little foreshadowing there, so pay attention to that. All right, 3 more readers. Our next poet is Amanda Galvan Huynh, who's a Chicano writer and educator from Texas, living and studying in the Hawaiian Kingdom. Please welcome Amanda.
Thank you so much, Craig. Thank you so much for everybody who is here.
I know a lot of my cohort members probably feel the same way, but I do not want to speak for them. My heart is just so full. So thank you for all the energy that you've brought to this whole semester. Each of you, and these little meetings meant so much to me this semester that I am failing to put all of the wonderfulness into words right now. So I'm just going to go and share my poems that, again, similar to what Sarah was saying, that we worked on, that I brought to these wonderful workshops. This one is titled First Word. My child's first word bends into awa, sometimes with the point or a hand to mouth. They will sign with this sound, awa. They haven't learned they hold this in the rivers of their flesh, that the way their mouth moves to reach for it is innate, a current in their being, their body, a body of agua, un cuerpo de agua, water calling water, life beckoning to life. For my next one, I am going to, share screen, yay technology. Let me share this with you. Can you see that all right? Okay, there you go. This one is titled Ma Gives. You child, you difficult child, I give you harm. I hope karma gives you a difficult child. Ma gives me harm. I hope a child gives me hope. I hope I give a child hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, definitely for giving all of us hope for the power of language. And shout out to, since we shout out Sarah's mom, gotta shout out Amanda's child, who's visited my class several times. I think he's earned several credits so far. I imagine he's gonna grow up to be an amazing multilingual poet, just like his mom. Thank you, Amanda. All right, our next poet is Fede Gonzalez, who's a Uruguayan Chinese American undergraduate writer studying biology, which I did not know, at the University of California, Berkeley. Fede views poetry as an invitation, asking, can you see this? Can you see me? So let's see Fede come to the stage.
All right, thank you so much. And yes, I am Fede. I'm going to be reading one poem today, or actually maybe two. A poem today called Intro to String Theory. It has a small epigraph at the beginning, and then it kicks into the poem. And it's kind of maybe like a letter to my mom. But before that, I'm going to be reading a smaller something that I'm working on. I'm not entirely sure yet, but it's this daydream or this image that keeps on coming to mind. Okay, I'll begin. Inside the forest, a butterfly flutters, a flame that smells of smoke. Find me, find a tiger set ablaze like blood, a white rabbit held like time on skin, drenched. Okay, and now I'll move into the poem, Intro to String Theory. A river is a string a fish splashing, a knot. Bloodlines are strings. My family bumping through time is a string, and knots are memories. If love can be a string, then I, much like the swimming fish or family or memory, become not. I dream of an endless string, long enough to stretch beyond time, and blood, thin enough to stitch the distance between sho and you. Remember, each letter is a string and each word on this page is a knot. They pulse with the same rhythm of a braid. Let me make a nest of us, Mom, and I have the same hair, and I haven't cut it since I left. Sometimes I catch you in the cracks of the mirror, cobwebs. So I look at every single hair and think that each one is threaded, laced with the sweat of memories, stress, drugs, processed slowly to reveal split ends from the buzzed-headed kid that was so scared to love you. So I make it a point to touch every part of myself, under the toenail, the corners of the crowns of my teeth, the inside of my lip. I tend each root on the scalp. When I pull a hair out, we wince. Last night, I pulled another, except it kept going and going until I got a call, and on the other end was you. I asked about the mole on the nape of my neck that I know of only with touch. I'm learning to see with feeling the way a child's hand knows to find the first knot. Most call it navel. I'm learning to reach within, mend the rope that cracks like a door, tense, and grip and tug and pull and heave. And I remember how you used to lick my eyes when they caught something. I'd think this is what it's like to be born, because the tongue is a string too. We were made soft to enter. We were made soft to enter. We were made softly to enter. Come, I see you now. I love you. All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Fede. We see you. Thank you for those words and knots and threads and lines. Oh my goodness. I think we're gonna have to change your major over there at Berkeley. Get you in the creative writing program or English department. Or maybe Complet. Shout out. All right. Sadly, our final reader. Come to the end of our program. This poet, or this person, I should say, is more than just a poet. I've known for a very long time, so I'm so honored I get to introduce her. Aimee Suzara is a Filipino-American poet, playwright, and performer whose mission is to create poetic and theatrical work about race, gender, and the body to provoke dialogue and social change. So let's open up the space for Aimee to provoke all of us. Thank you, Aimee.
Thank you so much, everyone. I feel like that went fast, and I'm feeling a little bit sad of this being the closing of our list of poets, but we are in fellowship, and I just come to you from here in Oakland, Chuchenyo Ohlone land, and I'm bringing in ancestors from the Philippines via Pangasinan and Bicol Island, Bicol provinces on Luzon Island in the Philippines. And I do want to give a little framing to this piece. I could go into a whole historical thing, but I'll just say the viscera sucker, or the manananggal, is a mythological being that I explored in the piece I'm going to share. And if you're not familiar with the manananggal, it is a creature that is known to be like a beautiful woman appearance that splits at the midsection, and the top section flies away. And its prey is the fetuses of pregnant women, or the viscera and guts and blood. And there's theories that it was a way to subvert, it was a method of the Spanish colonizers to turn the powerful babaylan figure, or the feminine figure that's like a spiritual powerful being, into basically someone who feeds on their own, and became a negative, embodiment of femininity. So I'm exploring, through this reclamation theme, I explored a little bit on language, but also the complexity of and the coexistence of like this negative perception of this being, but also their possible origins, and then how to connect that with being a birthing woman who has also experienced like the dichotomy of going through the Western medical system and being a powerful person, a powerful woman that was preparing for natural birth, but was in the Western medical system. And while it's a dichotomy, also recognizing that there's still the beauty of birth, there's still the healing aspect, the ceremony of birth, even as there's an aspect of trauma and the aspect of the harsh aspect. So I just wanted to bring that as a framer. And here's my poem, though that was longer than the actual poem, probably. Birthing woman as viscera sucker. And I borrowed from this amazing essay called The Viscera Sucker and the Politics of Gender by Herminia Méndez. In preparation for his arrival, I made my den, candles, bergamot doused humidifier, coconut water, contraction timer. By day, the viscera sucker appears, an exceptionally attractive woman with long hair, fuller and richer from the hormones that infused my body. The creature clung to sac, placenta, umbilical cord. By night, she discards her lower torso, hiding it under the sheets in a closet or among a patch of banana trees. Day 11 after due date, the hilot who evicted overstaying children speared needles and energia into my shoulders, initiating his departure. Another hilot swept membranes, commenced a stirring. Triad of healers prepared massage, looped a malong to stretch my back, sang songs to dance the child down, sprinkling holy water, burning incense. Contractions were violent, bursting from the inside, displaying blessed palms. Doula did not arrive. The crucifix and praying are believed to paralyze a witch. Blood pooled out of me, maxi pad soaked in red. To capture a viscera sucker, go, I admitted. One should cast a priest cincture or belt around her body to make her. At the hospital, I arrived, powerless, a tortured, writhing beast. Doctors and nurses in gowns and gloves, probed, connected, draped, monitored, injected. A hand, my hand, signed papers shoved at it, papers quivered off the narrow bed like leaves blown by supernatural wind. Birth plans, prayers, blueprints abandoned. They wringed their hands and wheeled me into the fluorescent chamber. If someone rubs ashes, salt, vinegar, lemon juice, garlic, ginger, pepper, and other spices on her discarded part, reattachment is impossible. Sliced in two, I parted for his removal. And the viscera sucker dies, fragmented. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Aimee, for birthing and sharing that powerful poem with us. And thank you for sharing it on the page as well. The visual elements, just reminded me to give one shout out to a missing person in our cohort who couldn't join us today. And that is Ohlone deSouza, who is the last member of the Berkeley cohort, a faculty member at Cal, amazing poet and visual artist. And so I just want to show some love for Ohlone and all his contributions to our fellowship. Yes. Thank you everyone for reading your amazing poetry. Poetry readings like this, we usually a lot extra time because poets, they love attention and they take up so much extra time, but this group is so humble and everyone was really generous with each other, making sure folks read within our time and really created space to hear others. And that's honestly been kind of part of the ethics of this workshop throughout the semester. I've been so grateful to get to know all of you, to work with you, to learn from and with you about poetry and revision. And I've just been really inspired by your spirits this semester, and of course your words as well. So thank you for joining this fellowship. Thank you to Beth and Lori for inviting me and entrusting me to be part of this crazy project. And thank you to everyone again on YouTube and the live stream for joining us today. With that, I want to turn it over with Beth, and perhaps if we beg enough, she might read a bunch of sonnets to us. I don't know, maybe she actually will, but
Buy my book. Buy my book.
Buy Beth's book, The Bead Workers, and awesome.
Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you especially to Craig for being the most amazing teacher and leader and facilitator all through this term. It's been such a gift to be in this space with you. When Aimee said, oh, this has gone quickly, at first I thought she meant the reading, and then I thought, oh no, the whole term has gone quickly. Our time together has gone too quickly. But I just want to remind everybody, our audience and also our poets, that we will be together again in a chapbook. Our works will all be together in something we will publish together. And that in February of 2024, we will all convene in person and get to read and sing and laugh together again. So in the meantime, we will stay connected. I really want to thank the warmth of the audience for sending lots of love through the reading and responding to each poet as they went. Thank you so much. And just as Craig sort of hinted, that we often began and ended our meetings with writing prompts. And so now we're going to prompt everybody, the audience and all the poets, with a little takeaway prompt. I think one of the greatest compliments I ever hear as a writer is when someone says, oh, I read your story, and then I wanted to write a story. And I think we've had so much of this generative, brilliant writing that we must all be full of generative ideas. We must all be primed now to create more work with all of the life force that's been given to us through these words. So, thinking of our theme of reclamation, I'm going to send you off with this writing prompt. I want you to sit down and write with a piece that begins with this sentence. I didn't have words for it, but now I do. I didn't have words for it, but now I do. So, katsuyo, thank you, everyone. Can't wait to see what you all produce.